Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Friday, August 8th, 2025, and this is your AM update.
Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years.
President Trump welcomes Apple CEO Tim Cook to the White House to celebrate another massive investment in the United States.
I want to give a measured, nonpartisan response here. You roid-addled Nepo Carney.
RFK moves to withdraw government funding for mRNA vaccine research, and the left seethes. Federal prosecutors announce hate crime charges against the suspect accused of gunning down 2 young Israeli embassy staffers in cold blood. And what's Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett like behind the scenes? Here's a hint.
I need 10 or 15 skirts from Calvin Klein.
Okay, what kind of skirts do you use?
Please bore someone else with your questions.
All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM update. You know the feeling, someone in your family gets sick, and then you're stuck waiting for a doctor's appointment, or the pharmacy's out of stock, or you're left wondering why something so basic must be so hard. Too many American families face this reality, and that's why many are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They're doing what Big Pharma won't, which is putting families back in control and making it possible to be proactive, not reactive with your health. This is not just some online pharmacy. All Family Pharmacy is based in Florida and family owned. You can order ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, antibiotics, daily maintenance meds, emergency kits, everything you'd want to have on hand before you need it. Order online and they will work with licensed doctors to provide the prescription for you. Then your medications get shipped right to your door. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Megyn. Okay? allfamilypharmacy.com/Megyn. Use the code Megyn10 to get 10% off today. Again, go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Megyn. Remember to use my code Megyn10 to get 10% off today. Be prepared, be in control. This is healthcare that works for you. President Trump on Wednesday, flanked by Apple CEO Tim Cook, Vice President J.D. Vance, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, announcing a massive new investment into American manufacturing.
Today, Apple is announcing that it will invest $600 billion, that's with a B, in the United States over the next 4 years. That's $100 billion more than they were originally going to invest. And this is the largest investment Apple has ever made in America and anywhere else. This is a significant step toward the ultimate goal of ensuring that iPhones sold in the United States of America also are made in America. With the mass infusion of capital it's announcing today, Apple will also build a 250,000 square foot server manufacturing facility in Houston and invest billions of dollars to construct data centers across the country from North Carolina to Iowa to Oregon.
President Trump designing an economic agenda aimed at incentivizing companies to invest and build in the United States. The ultimate goal, shoring up national security and providing jobs for American workers. Apple CEO Tim Cook expanding on the specifics of Apple's latest round of planned investments.
And I'm pleased to announce that very soon, this is for the first time ever, every single new iPhone and every single new Apple Watch sold anywhere in the world will contain cover glass made in Kentucky. In addition to the American manufacturing program, we're also significantly growing our investments in AI, including expanding data center capacity in North Carolina, in Nevada, in Iowa, in Arizona, and Oregon. So we're going to keep making investments right here in America. We're going to keep hiring in America. And we're going to keep building technologies at the heart of our products right here in America.
Cook also announcing an expansion of semiconductor production in the U.S. In May, President Trump threatening Apple with a 25% tariff unless they start fully manufacturing and assembling iPhones in the U.S. This latest announcement falling short of that demand, one reporter asking Cook if iPhone production will ever move completely to America.
He makes many of the components here, and we've been talking about it, and the whole thing is set up at other places, and it's been there for a long time. So in terms of cost and all, but I think we may incentivize him enough that one day he'll be bringing that. But he brings most of the stuff. Look, he's not making this kind of an investment anywhere in the world, not even close.
CNBC reporting, quote, moving production of a high-volume, complicated electronics product like the iPhone to the U.S. would be economically infeasible and could take years. President Trump indicating incremental steps to reshoring production are acceptable measures to avoid tariffs for now.
The president wants a made-in-the-USA iPhone. What are the chances that you can actually make that happen?
Well, if you look at the bulk of it, we're doing a lot of the semiconductors here. We're doing the glass here. We're doing the Face ID module here. So there's a ton of it. And we're doing these for products sold elsewhere in the world. And so there's a lot of content in there from the United States.
But what about the whole thing?
We're very proud of it.
Can you make the whole thing here?
Just the final assembly that you're focused on. And that will be elsewhere for a while.
President Trump rounding out the event, offering more thanks to Cook and Apple in his unmistakably unique way.
I want to thank Tim Cook. He's a great, great man, a visionary, a businessman, just about every quality he can have other than athleticism. I don't know about that. I'm looking at him. I'm not 100% sure about you. You're a good athlete. I'll bet you're pretty good. I think he's good at everything. But I want to thank you very much, Tim. Congratulations.
HHS Secretary RFK Jr. announcing this week the cancellation of 22 mRNA vaccine development contracts with the feds, totaling about $500 million.
Most of these shots are for flu or COVID, but as the pandemic showed us, mRNA vaccines don't perform well against viruses that infect the upper respiratory tract. Here's the problem. mRNA only codes for a small part of the viral proteins, usually a single antigen. One mutation, and the vaccine becomes ineffective. This dynamic drives a phenomenon called antigenic shift, meaning that the vaccine paradoxically encourages new mutations and can actually prolong pandemics as the virus constantly mutates to escape the protective effects of the vaccine. After reviewing the science and consulting top experts at NIH and FDA, HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses.
The reaction from some of those on the left, swift and seething. Chief among them, official mouthpiece of the resistance, Stephen Colbert, whose late-night show is limping toward its death date in May of next year.
Health Secretary RFK Jr. just pulled $500 million in funding for vaccine development. Now, we have 10 more months of this show, and I want to give a measured, nonpartisan response here. You roid-addled Nepo clown. Counterpoint, you roadkill munching, Luddite, human Slim Jim. You're gonna kill people.
Those sentiments echoed across the airwaves and legacy media. More examples here from PBS and MSNBC.
I can say unequivocally that this was the most dangerous public health decision I've ever seen made by a government body.
It's a sad day for science in this country. Eliminating all of this research and development at BARDA is a tragic mistake that is not based on a science-based decision.
That last bit from Dr. Paul Offit, a former CDC Vaccine Advisory Committee member and chief antagonist of RFKJ. mRNA vaccines have become a point of contention since President Trump's Operation Warp Speed helped bring COVID vaccines to the market in record time. Proponents point to their effectiveness. Studies show them to have 80 to 90% efficacy in preventing serious illness, though they were oversold to the public by supposed health experts as having the ability to prevent infection entirely. mRNA, or messenger RNA technology, was discovered in the 1960s but was only approved for use in humans in 2020. Critics of mRNA vaccines point to serious but rare side effects like myocarditis, as well as questions about whether the vaccines weaken immune response. There is not a scientific consensus on the topic. However, your humble reporter suffered an autoimmune response after taking the COVID booster, as did many other Americans. But the funding cut of approximately $500 million across the nearly 24 projects will surely not end mRNA vaccine research and development either. According to National Review's John Puri, the average total cost to bring a new vaccine to market is more than $880 million, and vaccine makers will not abandon their projects if they simply have to cover a small amount more of the cost, around $23 million, that HHS would have provided. Pfizer, for example, raked in more than $80 billion in sales of the COVID vaccine in America alone. They're fine. Additionally, while HHS is moving away from mRNA-based vaccines, the press release noting, quote, other uses of mRNA technology within the department are not impacted by this announcement. Coming up, federal prosecutors adding hate crime charges against the alleged gunman accused of killing 2 Israeli embassy staffers, laying the groundwork for a possible death sentence. And a new report indicating Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is just as sweet to her staff behind the scenes as she is to her political rivals, meaning she's a nightmare.
And you have no style or sense of fashion?
Well, I think that depends on what you're...
No, that wasn't a question.
I've been talking a lot about Riverbend Ranch steaks lately, and for good reason. The ranch is just a few miles from West Yellowstone, Montana, where we go in the wintertime, and their steaks are so flavorful and surprisingly tender. Even someone like me, who does not know how to cook, can make it taste delicious. It's thanks to the quality of the beef. A lot of our listeners have been writing in, sharing similar feedback. Abigail Finan will not stop talking about Riverbend Ranch, and I feel the same. So these guys raise Angus cattle, but they've taken it even further. For 35 years now, more than 3 decades, the owner has selectively bred Angus cattle with superior genetics for marbling and tenderness. It's all about the marbling and the tenderness, creating a herd that truly stands out. Their beef is born, raised, and processed too entirely inside America without artificial growth hormones or antibiotics. And it is shipped directly from the ranch to your door. Riverbend Ranch is not just another beef company. It's a legacy of quality care and craftsmanship that you can taste in every bite. Order from riverbendranch.com. Use the promo code Megyn for $20 off your first order, and you'll be eating the same steak that my family and I eat at night. And let me know what you think. riverbendranch.com, promo code Megyn. On Thursday, U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro announcing a sweeping federal indictment against the man accused of gunning down 2 Israeli embassy employees earlier this year in Washington, adding federal hate crime charges, laying the groundwork for a possible death sentence. On May 21st, the 31-year-old male suspect from Chicago shooting 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky and 26-year-old Sarah Milgram as they exited an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum. 2 other unnamed individuals were injured in the attack. According to the indictment, after victims fell to the ground, the suspect continued firing at close range, including at Miss Milgram as she attempted to crawl away. Mr. Lashinsky had been planning to propose to Miss Milgram just days later during a trip to meet Lashinsky's family in Jerusalem. Pirro listing out the full set of charges.
Count 1. Murder of a foreign official under 18 U.S.C. 1116 for the murder of 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky, a foreign official employed by the government of Israel. Counts 2 and 3 are hate crimes resulting in death. Counts 4 and 5, the discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. Counts 6 and 7, first-degree murder. Counts 8 and 9, assault with intent to kill while armed with a firearm. He assaulted CS and AT, those are initials, with intent to kill a person.
With the addition of hate crime charges, the government now must prove that anti-Semitism motivated this attack. Pirro outlining the evidence behind those charges.
While on the plane, he traveled across multiple state lines and drafted a manifesto called an explication on his iPhone. His explication made clear his purpose in committing these crimes that I'm about to read to you was to demonstrate his hatred for the people of Israel. When firing these fatal shots, he yelled, "Free Palestine." After he killed Yaron and Sarah, he entered the Capitol Jewish Museum, pulled out a red keffiyeh, and yelled, "I did it for Palestine," after which he was arrested. He demonstrated this hatred through his words, "Death to Israel," and his violent actions against Yaron and Sarah and their co-workers from the Israeli embassy. He also posted one of his postings on social media, "Please, please, please, God, please, vaporize every Israeli."
The suspect has not yet entered a plea. He is due in court later today. Congressional aides spilling the tea, as the kids say, on Democrat Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, telling the New York Post she's the Anna Wintour of Washington, the Ellen DeGeneres of D.C., the Meghan Markle of members, a narcissistic bully. Crockett frequently generating buzz with her brash, aggressive style, from calling the sitting president of the United States an orange orangutan to this reference to wheelchair-bound Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey.
Crockett later saying she was referring not to the governor's wheelchair, but to his migrant busing program. Then it emerged that she'd been liking posts calling Abbott Hot Wheels for years, long before his busing initiative. 3 sources who have worked with or for Crockett telling the Post, Crockett is often a no-show to the office unless cameras are rolling. She prefers to work from her luxury apartment building, where staff say she lies around refusing to come into the office. When she does bother showing up to her taxpayer-funded job, staff say she terrorizes them. A former aide saying, quote, she is never in the office and is very disengaged. She does her bullshit that goes viral and then freaks out over the most random things. Crockett reportedly rents an Escalade or similar upscale vehicle each week, rather than deigning to sit in a staffer's car. One source saying she expects her staff to drive her around while she's in the back seat, treating the staffer like an Uber driver. That staffer is expected to stand outside of the vehicle and open the door for Madam Queen. Staffers telling the Post she is mean, she's rude, she screams at them, that she is, quote, not a dedicated member focused on her constituents. One staffer saying, quote, she is focused almost exclusively on being an influencer, not a member of Congress, calling her, quote, all diva, no wow. And that'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the Megyn Kelly Show, live on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.